Okay, well, thank you very much, Remigio. If you have any questions, you can either send the questions via the chat option, or you can unmute yourself and make your video, make your presence known and put up your hand. In the meantime, Remigio, the reason I recorded this session was a number of people wanted to catch your talk, but they told me they wouldn't be able to attend. Anyway, I have a couple of questions for you. First one is from Samuel Devine in Ontario. And he says, would you say that anti-Semitism was a major factor in the Italian fascist movement in Scotland?
From the sources I consulted, I can say I'm quite confident that anti-Semitism within the Italian fascists or the community in general in Scotland was absent. From 1938, when the racial laws had been approved in Italy, some communities abroad, like in London, took some initiatives against the Italian Jews. And also some fascist newspapers published, for instance, against in London, again in London or in other countries overseas, adopted that new racial rhetoric of the regime. But from the sources I consulted in Scotland, anti-Semitism did not penetrate in the Italian diaspora.
That's interesting. Okay, I have another question. This is from Kevin Hughes in Dumfries in Scotland. Have you looked at fascism in Scotland in general? In other words, outside of the Italian community? And if so, how did that align with the ideology of the Italian variant?
I have read some studies from from other scholars about British or Scottish fascist groups. I can only partly answer this question. So yeah, as far as I've read, I can say that there was a very small following of Scots for into the fascist Scottish fascist groups, and they were, there were some common views, some common patterns between these groups and Italian fascism. For instance, the high level of nationalism and the view on some economic policies like corporativism, which was a kind of third way to counteract the socialist and capitalist ways. But more than this, it is beyond the scope of my project, so I don't know if there were some common things between them.
Okay, the next question I have is from Helen Carter in Port Hope, Ontario, Canada. It's a very general question. How close was Italian fascism in its objectives to that of Nazi Germany?
But it's fascism and Nazi in general, or like for the communities abroad?
I'm not sure. It's her question. If you can't answer it, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I can say that, the object, I think they were both successful in the propaganda and in attracting millions of people in their country. For sure they were successful in these objectives, and also people followed these ideologies, but I will not go further in answering this question because...
Well, the next question is from William Napier in Kingston, Ontario. Were there any links between the Italian fascists and the British fascist organization? For example, the BUF, the British Union of Fascists.
Yeah.
Any links there?
So in the, let's say, there were links between the high echelons of fascism and the BUF. In fact, Mussolini earmarked funds and money for the BUF to develop for the growth of the BUF in Britain. While apart from this connection between in a local, let's say, perspective, like in my case in Scotland, in the documents I consulted, I did not find any connections between the Italians and the branches of the BUF in Scotland.
Okay.
This was mainly because, just closing, this was mainly because Italian fascists were basically ordered not to be involved in local politics, so they were never in touch with BUF or other Scottish groups.
Okay, one more question from Steve Jardine in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Was the opposition to communism a main objective of the Italian fascists in Scotland?
Ideologically, there was opposition, and generally one of the objectives that the fascist regime ordered to carry out, one of the political objectives for the fascists abroad was that of counteracting on the ideological level Bolshevism and communism. But while in the Spanish Civil War, this ideological fight was physically fought between Nazi and Italian fascists against Spanish or Bolshevists of Soviet Union. In Scotland and other parts overseas, they were mainly they carried out this fight against Bolshevism or communism, as you want to say, especially in newspapers, by giving articles stressing the differences between the goodwill of the fascist regime, the successes of the fascist regime, and the cruelties of the Soviet Union and communist regimes. So yeah, also I found in some newspapers some articles by Italians that were stressing these differences and were carrying out this propaganda for the fascist regime.
And this is the last question from Canada. Oh no, this is actually from Scotland. It's from Malcolm Cunningham in Eaglesham, Scotland, and he says, "How supportive was the Catholic Church of the Scots-Italian fascist ideology? It has been said that the Catholic Church vocally supported the fascists in the Spanish Civil War."
Fascists found a good support from some echelons of and priests of the of the Catholic Church in Scotland, and also some were fascist sympathizers. And as I said in the talk, some of them joined the fascist celebrations and also celebrated the mass of fascists that fascists organized here in Glasgow or Edinburgh. This was also because you should bear in mind that some of the priests were like Archbishop Mackintosh, were trained at the Scots College in Rome. And also Mackintosh stayed in Rome until 1922 when fascism was growing, and then there was the March on Rome. So some of them were influenced by this kind of influence, political influence that was undergoing in Italy. And like Mackintosh, also some priests were trained in the Scots College in Rome. So yeah, they felt this political environment. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I have. Does anyone have any other things they want to ask Remigio? Just check chat. Doesn't look like it, Remigio. Okay, a non-fascist type question. It's very nice to meet you, and I hope your wife and Anna are enjoying your time in Scotland. What are your future plans? So you're going to be staying in Scotland or what?
For the next 2-3 years, yes, because yeah. Anyway, I'm finishing my PhD, and my wife is finishing her undergraduate degree in biomedical engineer here in Glasgow.
Oh, really?
So yeah, in September she is going to start the 3rd year. So yeah, then we will see. But yeah, for the next 3 years, for sure, we will be here. We will be enjoying the Scottish climate.
I can tell you, you would get a great welcome in Canada. Isn't that right, folks? Yeah. Okay. Is that Sylvia raising her hand for a question or just waving? Just waving. Okay. Any other questions, folks? Okay. Well, Remigio, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure meeting you. A fascinating talk, a fascinating subject. I had never heard about Italian fascism. I grew up in Glasgow, and all I knew about Italians was that everything about Italy was cool. I had a Vespa scooter. If you wanted to look cool, you had an Italian shoe. You got Italian shoes and an Italian shirt. And if you really wanted to look great, you went to Fusco's barber shop in Cambridge Street for your haircut. So to be Italian was the in thing when I was growing up. We went to the most famous dance hall in Glasgow was the Locarno. Well, you're getting to know Glasgow, and you can see all the Italian restaurants around there.
Yeah.
DiMaggio's, right? You've probably been there. DiMaggio's.
No, I mean, I try to avoid Italian restaurants because I mean we can cook here, at home. So we prefer to try, different cuisine. So, but
Okay.
yeah, I know some of the Italian restaurants anyway.
Well, you say hi to Anna. You mentioned she was from Ukraine. Is that right?
She is, yeah.
Okay. Well, the best of luck to her and her family. We wish them well.
Hopefully they are fine
I
despite
hope so.
the current circumstances.